So I do have a funny story.
Oh, good.
For the cold intro. So I was just on the phone FaceTiming with my parents, and they watched the entire 2 hours of the Hot Ones challenge that we did yesterday.
I didn't get to watch it, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, I went to your website or to your YouTube channel, subscribed.
I was doing it on Facebook.
Oh, I don't do Facebook.
Oh, well, that would be why.
Dude, I stopped every social media.
So anyway,
and I didn't know it was on Facebook either.
So they said they watched the entire 2 hours, and I was like, and they were like, whenever you do this again, don't make it 2 hours. I was like, I didn't think anybody would actually watch it. And I asked him, how many podcast episodes have you listened to? My mom was like, 1.
It's probably a really bad one. The last one was really good.
Like, I thought the last one was good too. But basically, Rachel was like, it's because Stellan isn't in the podcast. And my mom was like, yeah, exactly.
Hey, I like that background noise. That adds to fucking... What do they call that? It's flavor. I don't remember what it is.
Flavor text.
Yeah, but sound.
Good ambient noise. All right. We should start the show.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right. Welcome, everyone, to episode 13 of the Geicoid podcast, which is a lucky number in some cultures. Allegedly.
Get out of my head.
Did I steal that from you?
I was so ready.
Which culture?
A positive one.
All right. We have so much to talk about. Like this, it's been a super busy news cycle.
Daddy Jared did notes for the first time.
Holy moly. Do you want me to kick it off with X?
My whole notes, and then I go, ? Musk?
All right. So Elon Musk on Friday announced that his AI company, XAI, is acquiring X, formerly Twitter.com, in an all-stock acquisition, which totals $45 billion for the value of X, and values the parent company with the acquisition at $88 billion, which is a little bit mind-blowing considering XAI didn't exist, I don't know, like 2 years ago, and now it's valued at $40 billion.
Get out of here.
It's a little wild. So I did a little research on the breakdown of the original Elon Musk acquisition of Twitter. So that was at $44 billion. At which, when prices were relatively super inflated post COVID and with like 0% interest rates, like the market was just absolutely ripping. So he probably overpaid for Twitter by almost 50%. And so now I'm curious what his investors think, because they're basically trading shares for this new entity, and the company's only valued, it was sold for 45, but there's $12 billion worth of debt, so it's really a $33 billion valuation for X. So I can't imagine them being very happy with it, but at the same time, they now are getting a piece of XAI, which I got to give them credit. They have been able to do things that people just simply didn't think possible. The way they spun up their Colossus data center and strung together 100,000 NVIDIA GPUs in less than a year is absolutely staggering. And the models that they've been putting out have been really dang good. And
like how?
Well, I mean, like, there's all these benchmarks that all the top models compete against, and they've been ranking very high. And I think it's a very smart move to combine the two entities, because if you think about the access to the data that is generated on the X platform, it's really like the most sought after go-to place for real-time information on what's happening in the world. Like, I learn about things 2 days in advance of when my parents learn about them through the Wall Street Journal, because I'm on X and I just scroll through my feed and I was like, oh, this happened in Saudi Arabia or Egypt or Israel, or like, oh, there's an attack happening in Yemen, and like all this stuff is happening real time, and that's being fed to XAI. And all these other companies that are generating models, they don't have access to that real-time information and real-time data. So they have a significant advantage when it comes to that. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole AI landscape plays out from here. But this is a huge thing. It's like, also considering this is an $88 billion private company that is not on the stock market. It's not traded anywhere. Like, it is
purely Musk.
Well, it's not purely Musk. I mean, he acquired it with the help of plenty of investors from other countries, and like, I think Saudi Arabia, like their sovereign wealth fund was like, there's some really I wouldn't call them unscrupulous investors, but there's some, I also wouldn't call them shady because I don't want to be assassinated. But there's just your unusual characters on the investor list for X.
What can an AI or XAI do to help or improve Twitter/X? Is it going to be like, are they trying to do like we've been talking about for all these episodes, like adding a large language to then this extremely fast populated kind of news and information site?
So I don't think it's so much what XAI can do for X. I think it's the other way around. I think it's the access to the information on the X platform that is going to empower XAI with what they're delivering to their customers. That being said, I think there are some advantages and some things that the X platform can take advantage of. So, for example, yesterday when I posted that we were doing the Hot Ones challenge, Facebook was like, hey, should you create, like, it prompted me to say, you want to create an event for this? And I was like, yeah, totally. And that whole thing, it told me that was prompted by AI. Like, the AI acknowledged my post and was like, you should create an event, get more followers, things like that. So it's seeding the AI into certain user workflows that I think is going to be really powerful going forward. But really, the models that XAI is putting out and the access to real-time information, I think, is going to be the most powerful component. Because you use any of these LLMs, these large language models, and a lot of them don't have access to information up until a certain point. And they've now been working on updating that. Like, for example, Google's Gemini, you can flip a switch and be like, oh, use Google search query information, and it'll incorporate it into the post. But it's not as fast as the base models. And honestly, that is only the last time they index the web. Whereas Twitter/X, I just want to call it Twitter.
Me too, man. Like, why?
Like, it's the most accurate, up-to-date, real-time information that we have access to as a society. And I know there's been all sorts of attempts to replace it, like Meta's Threads or Blue Sky. Yeah. But it doesn't have the upswell and the membership that X does.
Well, no, because it's been around.
Yeah, for quite some time.
10, 12-ish years. Yeah.
So it's been a really interesting development. We'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah. If we could put a pin in this to come back to it, say, October, I would be very interested to see.
October seems like a really long time in the AI news cycle space. Like,
Oh well, yeah, we talk about it every episode.
but yeah, I'm saying let's revisit it. Revisit it.
Like next quarter.
Next quarter, in a month, in next quarter, something like that. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
What else would you like to talk about, little boy?
I'm gonna hand it off to you.
Okay. So we'll start small. I didn't know this. Amazon is doing a God of War TV series, and they're so sure about it already that they greenlit a season 2 before season 1 is even out. I did research. There is very little known about this, except, we've had good reactions from the Fallout TV series and Secret Level, so they're doing more of Fallout, which, thank God, it's so good. And Secret Level, which also I enjoyed. Very niche, but I did.
Yeah.
Ronald D. Moore was brought on as the new person to do the writing, executive producing, and is the showrunner for the version they're doing, thank God, is the 2018 version, which introduced us to Kratos in a Viking Norse mythology setting and having a son who is also part of that storyline and adventure.
Which is currently sitting on my mantle. I have not played it yet.
I've heard they're both great.
I've heard great things, and that's why I picked it up.
I think the story's even better than the gameplay.
That's what I heard. So, if you were to pick any number of games out of the collective ethos, like God of War seems ripe for the picking because the story has been so strong, the execution has been so strong. It really lends itself like as a single player experience, and the way the game is constructed, like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, it's a very different game from Fallout, but I can see how they would make the decision to greenlight season 2 based on the reception of Fallout and how they know that they can translate a lot of the production quality and values and everything to this next version or next series.
Yeah, and Moore is not like a new spring chicken. He is a veteran. He's worked on the likes of Star Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, as well as showrunner for the 2000s Battlestar Galactica. So, like, he has old and legit chops in this type of space. So that sounds promising. TBD as to anything else at that point.
Yeah, but I'm gonna binge that hard.
Yeah, dude. Yes, I'm curious what kind of actor they're going to get, and then how to make him look like a old grizzled Kratos. Post dealing with every Greek and Roman god, leaving that domain or whatever to then
that is interesting. I think
raise his kid.
I think next episode we should put together a list between you and I who we think it might be.
That would be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Jason Statham?
Oh,
No.
He's so short. Unless, I mean, you put him on an Apple box like, they do Cruise or something.
I just introduced a segue that I didn't even anticipate.
Is that our first sponsor?
No, his movie Working Man came out this weekend and topped the box office with 15 million, which is relatively paltry, but trounced Snow White.
Yeah.
Which has kind of gotten a lot of backlash.
That's too bad. I was really hopeful. I like Snow White. I thought it looked good, but then I had this weird feeling when somebody goes, "Hey, would you like to go see it this weekend with me?" And I said, "No." I got a bad feeling.
Oh, where does that feeling come from? Like, is it?
Deep in my cockles.
Oh man.
No, I don't care how many dwarves you have. I got a bad feeling about this.
Oh gosh.
Come on, Chewie, we're out of here.
I mean, here's the thing. It's been absolutely panned on IMDb. It's got 1.5 out of 10 stars.
Damn.
Like there was a lot of pushback from that population. So I mean, here's the thing with IMDb is it doesn't require users to even authenticate or create an account to vote. Whereas Rotten Tomatoes, it did significantly better. The critics seem to like it.
That's
the audience, yeah, so.
Okay.
But Rachel Ziegler herself, like, she got taken off the press tour, like, because she made so many comments about the character Snow White, and it just kind of like, I think that's why the IMDb crowd just voted it down, because they feel like she was being canceled or silenced or something.
Why? This isn't like Deadpool where like you can get real raunchy and do whatever you want to. This is Snow White, lady. Like,
Well, no, I think there was a pushback that she was like, oh, Snow White, she should be able to stand up for herself and not need a prince in this age and things like that. And to be completely honest and transparent, I haven't watched a single interview and I don't know what all the hoopla is about, but I know that there was something that contributed to her getting pulled off the press tour, which is not a good look for Disney.
no, that's not. And this is such a old story that they made into a cartoon also a long time ago. So it is just an old classic. Simadana.
Seriously, I mean, like it was like all these live action movies are just money grabs. Let's be honest.
It's Snow White's a live action movie. See
Yeah.
some dwarves like from Lord of the Rings. You're like, whoa, don't mess with Keely and Beely and Bumber and Dumber. And
Let's move on.
let's move on to Ubisoft. As of when this is recorded, Thursday, just a few days ago, announced that it's creating a new gaming subsidiary with the Chinese technology giant Tencent, who invested $1.25 billion into the unit.
Yeah, I saw this happen, and I just, it makes sense, but at the same time, with everything that's happening with China right now, like, it feels very uncouth.
Now, what has Tencent done in the past? Like, I know the name. Like, they're usually just a buyer, right? They just accumulate.
No, I mean, they are a massive conglomerate. They have significant holdings in a number of major game studios. So I'm pulling it up right now.
Yes.
I want to say, Aurora, Lightspeed, More Fun, Next. That probably doesn't ring any bells.
Nope.
I want to say they have. I thought they had a position in Riot, which is League of Legends.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
That's not coming up right away. But hold on 1 second.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Yeah, no, I don't have anything really interesting to say.
Okay.
But
Well, I know they're huge anyway.
Yeah, it's like what the French Canadian Ubisoft is now effectively being acquired by the Chinese.
Well, yeah, because what was it, back in January? They had announced and
Well, they were going bankrupt. They were going into voluntary, whatever the equivalent of
they needed and they
Chapter
were looking,
11 bankruptcy.
yeah, and they were also being like, "Hey, anybody want to buy a portion of us or something?" So I'm sure Tencent has been talking to them since then because we're now this is March 30th. So
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, these deals take time, and it's clear that someone was courting them.
and they did say too, they were like, "We need Assassin's Creed Shadows, which just came out a couple weeks ago, to be a win for the studio." Which, as of currently, it's receiving positive reviews, averaging 8 out of 10s on most places and 82 on Metacritic. So it's doing very, very well. Everybody's kind of all like, "Whew, Ubisoft's not gone yet."
So here's the thing: the sales figures aren't as good as Valhalla,
No,
and honestly, I don't think they expected it to be because Valhalla was an enormous success, and
it's really good.
yeah, I
But
sank maybe 70 hours into that game.
and I think they're changing because those were the RPG versions of Assassin's Creed, and now they're going full circle back to their roots. So, because this is back to the last 6 games before that. Black Flag was their kind of halfway RPG ship shit. With
Can we talk about why Ubisoft went bankrupt?
I
It's because of the inspiration from Black Flag that they decided to spin off into their own pirate game spent over the course of half a decade, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of dollars,
I forgot. You're totally right, man.
and then just landed flat and like no one
Do you
cared.
remember what other studio / company came out with a ship game that blew it out of the water and still to this day?
Oh yeah,
Sea
Microsoft.
Thieves. Yeah. Yeah.
Which
heard-
it's so crazy. Like
And I bet Ubisoft was like, "God damn it, Xbox. We're fucking trying to get a win here. We're trying to get a W."
the number of times they went back to the drawing board with that game, I can't even remember the
I
title.
don't remember. Yeah, that's unfortunately how much it didn't.
how bad it did.
I don't know. I'm sure it's good, but it's not good enough.
No,
And that's
I-
what they've done other new IPs. They're always trying to do a new IP, which is great. I love that creativity. However, you need to also have a few of your older ones. Like I don't know if they spun off the Prince of Persia to a third party, but that side scroller did really well 2 years ago. So do a remake of Prince of Persia. You still have Splinter Cell, and people have been,
that's already been recently done.
they were talking about doing another remake of another Prince of Persia. Okay, well, do that. Splinter Cell. It's unless you've got a weird contract with Tom Clancy that and whoever owns Tom Clancy.
Well, I'm pretty sure they can make as many Tom Clancy games as they want.
But they haven't. You have some.
No,
of the
they have.
Splinter Cell specifically.
No, Rainbow Six.
Well, yeah. Sure. It's great.
All right, hold on. Do I need to
Well,
pull up the Tom
well,
Clancy game list because it's a little long in the tooth?
But I'm talking specifically one player.
The Division
Cell.
is a Tom Clancy game, technically.
It did not do very good. That was one of their newer spin-off IPs.
And they
did
made a
not-
sequel.
It did a little
I
bit
I
better.
I enjoyed the Division, the
I know you
first
did.
one, for as long as I played it. It wasn't
Very
overly long, but I found the multiplayer aspects frustrating.
Yes, you are trying to say and defend them, but you're fucking following right suit with what I'm saying. You have some really good old school IP. Assassin's Creed is one of them. You went back to the OG, and people are very happy with what you did. Go back to some of your OG. And just do a remaster. Do a remake. Like, it takes time, but while you're doing that, in creating now this new IP of your big stuff with a huge Chinese conglomerate, keep your name like in some money rolling, because I do not want you to go away, Ubisoft. You're cool. You've been around my video game life since I've been a wee little Pikachu. Like, fucking. But somebody needs to put a spark up your ass and be like, hey, quit fucking around.
Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere. Here's what I think is going to happen. They're going to probably lay off a whole lot of people in Canada and the US and Europe, and they're going to take those jobs and they're going to basically onshore them in China in Tencent studios or Tencent affiliated studios. Like a lot of the art generation, even the programming, they might keep the creative sources as they are, but a lot of it's going to be brought over to China. They're just going to cut costs, and I hate to say it, but it needs to happen because the ballooning cost of making these games is insane.
Yeah, and the years. I mean, somebody was talking about. I'll probably pull it up next episode.
The only people who can get away with it
10 years to make
is
another
Rockstar.
game. Oh yeah, yeah. Was somebody was like, oh, it's gonna be 10 years before we get the next. Oh, I think it was Elder Scrolls, and I was like, yep. And you're right. The only person who gets like that pass and everybody goes, oh yeah, sure, is Rockstar. Oh, GTA 6 took 10 years. That's cool. That's fine. It may get delayed a year, which it doesn't sound like it is. But everybody was like, okay.
We apparently just got a tornado warning here.
So do we. Yeah.
So do we. Okay, cool.
I mean, yeah, it looks like ass outside. Hey, Midwest. Climate change.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Welcome. That was a really good song in the 90s. Yeah, so the Subsidiary will focus on Ubisoft's best-known game brand. Oh, is that you or me?
That's me. That is my phone interrupting me with an emergency alert. If you are outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Okay, I'm going to just pull up the weather map because...
While he's doing that, best known brands including Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, and yeah, so they're just gonna help him with the big stuff. So while that's going on, do the little stuff. Ubisoft, make some quick cash of IP you already have. Potential pre-orders. I'm gonna move to Switch 2 while Eric looks to hide his family potentially into. Do you have a basement? Yeah, you've got a basement.
Yeah, we do. I think actually maybe we should pause this because
that's cool. This is.
I can hear the tornado siren going on outside.
All right. Oh, I just saw leaves just blow sideways past my window.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna.
All right. This is part 1.
Part 2 coming soon.
We'll get to the Nintendo stuff here in a minute. Thanks, folks.
And we're back after both of us having tornado warnings and sirens and emergency alerts just blowing us up. Everyone's safe.
But yeah. Katie never left the couch. She's watching the first Hunger Games, and that's I guess gonna be our movies for this week. And while you guys had to take your baby and other
We sheltered in the basement.
You sheltered in the basement and
with our dog, and we just completely left the cat. we came upstairs and she was sitting by the door. We're like, oh, sorry.
No, yeah. The worst thing I have 3 hours south of you is a really hardcore rainstorm with thunder. So if electricity goes out, there's always a part 3. But you know what, folks? This is what Eric and I have learned. No storm, no rain, no hurricane, no tornado will stop us from finishing this goofy podcast. You're welcome.
Amen.
You're welcome.
So, on that note, next up, are we talking Switch 2?
I think it's time for some Nintendo news. So, first up, potential pre-orders for Switch 2, April 9th, after the April 2nd, which is on a Wednesday, Nintendo Direct announcement of the Switch 2. And if anyone's following and they don't want to go into their calendar app, like I said, Switch 2 announcement is Wednesday the 2nd. The pre-orders will be the 9th, allegedly. But these are, again, coming from sources that sound pretty strong. What do you think about this, Eric Westland?
Well, I think you're leaving out probably the biggest part is when they'll actually be delivered.
June,
yes. It all makes sense. I mean, the timelines line up with what I would expect from Nintendo. So
they're box stores to not GameStop.
Yeah.
GameStop.
Well, yeah, GameStop. It all seems very plausible.
Yep.
I got my pre-order ready to go. I haven't bought anything from Nintendo in over a decade, to be completely honest.
I might need your help. You might need to order 2 because I don't think, because of my job, if I have my phone out and I'm hitting the refresh button, I would probably get in trouble. So might have to sell you some dodo.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, Nintendo has been really good about their launches. Like, typically there isn't a whole lot of, there's a ton of pent-up demand, but I don't think there's so much that they're unable to fulfill orders.
Switch was their first one. They were underprepared for the...
Well, also, they did not expect the Switch to be as much of a success as it was.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And now that they've obviously had that success, I think they're really well prepared with their supply chain partners to fulfill all the orders. So I don't think we're going to have a frenzy like you see with the PlayStation and the Xbox launches where you have people on eBay charging 300-400% markups for a little handheld. It's just not going to happen.
Everybody was surprised they did a direct this week, Wednesday, and they announced some really, for those in the Japanese Nintendo, like retro stuff. They announced a lot of games that unfortunately I don't have a list of, but they're older Japanese titles that some people who were a part of Nintendo since its fledgling years all the way to the Switch appreciated a lot of these older games, including a very weird Pac-Man game, but we'll talk about that another day, called something Labyrinth that I can't remember, Dungeon Labyrinth, but it's odd and cool all at the same time. With
Sounds
that,
like it.
They announced their version, and it's very Nintendo and very like locked down, of virtual cards, of being able to have digital purchases and be able to then share them to other devices, and if you have family accounts, to then share them to those accounts. In the subtext, in the fine print at the end of, if you went to the website and read it, they talked or announced something about Switch 2 exclusive games and Switch 2 edition games, and how the virtual card, as they're calling it, will be different, which blew up the video game nerd sphere of like, what is a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive and what is a Switch 2 edition game?
So this is what you texted me, and I just went, huh?
Yes.
Because I had no idea what it meant.
And I didn't know if you're, because I just put question marks like with exclamation points, like what? And I didn't know if you were meaning I don't get it, or also like what? Nobody
It was
knows.
mostly the former.
Okay, good. So nobody knows how the backward compatibility is going to work with Switch 1 and Switch 2. And with a lot of the hardware that's been shown, there is potential for updated, 60 frames per second instead of 30 or 24, advanced resolution, ray tracing, DLSS, things we've talked about. Nobody has a clue. I do have an idea in my head. We'll see what it is. But my idea is, as a business, which is what I'm thinking of, it gives them a chance to do like a deluxe edition or a other edition. Like the big one, there's two games specifically people are talking about, but one of them is both of the Zelda games. They were so big for the Switch 1. Switch 1 ran it fine, but it would go into frame rates sometimes of like 24 frames per second, and it was their game. And the last one, Tears of the Kingdom, which I think that was the last one, did it a lot.
I remember when we would aspire to 24 frames per second.
You're saying, and you sound like me, because that sounds like something I would say, and you would poo-poo and be
As a
like, 24?
game developer, we're like, 24, holy moly, that would be amazing.
Everybody would be extremely happy at 60, and I think 30 has been fine for the Switch 1. 60 would be very cool, when now we're getting things at like 120 and plus for PC.
It's
bonkers, yeah. And it's
we're not going to dive into it right now. It's going to take too much time.
So I think you're going to have your Switch 2 exclusives, which I don't know, but I think your Switch 2 editions are going to be older titles that they bring over. And I don't know. Like, it's all speculation.
I'm going to cut you off because I have some thoughts around this. I don't think the Switch edition is going to matter because I think that would cause too much confusion with consumers. I think the access rights are going to have to be on a per game basis.
Yeah.
Like, do you have a game or do you have a digital enhanced game, in which case you can play it on both platforms, blah, 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 blah. But I think anything that you can play on a Switch 1, you'll be able to play on a Switch 2.
Yeah, yep. I do believe that. There'll be, and there's a few titles that will, I think, be hard, and we've talked about this before. The Switch 1 has an AR sensor that can follow and do things. This will not have an AR sensor. It's going to have, I'm using the wrong words, but it had a sensor on the bottom that then could track movement and light around. Now we're going to have the mouse pad. So
I didn't even realize that for the original Switch.
So
did anybody besides you know that?
Yeah. So there's going to be some movement games. I think whatever the boxing game was, that probably will not. It might work, but it might not work great. Where then other games like Mario Paint and Mario Creator, I think, are going to have a huge advancement. But
Yeah.
those are very small titles. I don't know. I don't know how the Switch 2 is going to handle backward compatibility and any potential performance enhancements for older games.
I say we
think
just
that's going to be one of the bigger questions.
table
maybe.
this entire conversation until next week when we actually know the specs and everything.
And that was my final
Because we're just speculating right now, and
which I love. It's my favorite.
which I do love too. But I know we're running really long, and there's a ton of other stuff I think we should get to.
The last two things that I have is the mysterious Switch 2 button was announced. It was identified finally in this direct. It has the C button, which a lot of people thought it was going to have a C button. Still, we don't know, except for there are 3 ideas: casting wirelessly something to a TV, or changing the changing the Joy-Con's functionality to mouse control back to maybe normal control, or I think what you and I have said a lot, which is voice chat.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I don't have any precognition in this field.
During the
Words.
No, I don't either. During the direct, Nintendo, which is kind of cool, announced an app that you can throw on your phone or iPad or Android tablet or whatever called Nintendo Today. And during that, the live action Zelda movie that I absolutely forgot about,
Oh yeah.
they put on their brand new app a release date slated not only a year, a month. By the way, Nintendo, P.S. You can't give a month to Metroid Prime Beyond 4, but you can give a March 2027 release date for a live-action Zelda movie. What?
I mean, here's the thing. They have a lot more stuff figured out for that movie than MGM has figured out for the November 2026 Bond release.
Yeah. Or never mind. I was going to shit on WB for a minute, too, and be like, what are you guys doing? Interesting for little tidbits. Avi Arad, who a long time ago was, I think, Marvel Studios CEO. He's producing it. Derek Connolly, who wrote the screenplay for Jurassic World, will be writing the screenplay for this. And Wes Ball, who has been a huge advocate for this movie. I think he made the Maze Runner movies and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. He is slated to direct this movie. And Sony will be handling distribution.
Which I found very ironic. But that's just how these things work. I mean,
It's entertainment. Yeah, it's business.
Like different business arms deal with different things, and
When it comes to entertainment, Sony's got it, right?
yeah, I feel like Sony's produced some Microsoft properties as well over the years. I'm not going to try and name any right now, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody takes a piece out of everybody else in some shape, form, or matter. So, yeah.
All right. I want to jump to what have you been ingesting, watching, consuming? Because I've got something tip of my tongue.
Mythic Quest.
You've been watching Mythic Quest.
That's it. Yeah, that's been the only, because we only have so much time. We have an hour every night with our drive and our work schedules. So Mythic Quest, we're into season 2. We're maybe halfway through season 2.
Okay, so we're at like the same point, you and I, watching Mythic Quest.
Yeah, we just finished the episode that was CW's origin story.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're starting into the next episode.
Okay, so I think we're 2
Oh, no.
episodes ahead of you.
And then that was his origin, and then the next one was his love letter ish
Yeah.
to his best friend, which totally I got a tear out of it. And now we're into the next episode. We're back to reality again.
So we watched Den of Thieves 1 and Den of Thieves 2.
Den of Thieves. I don't even know either of these.
Starring Gerard Butler.
Ooh.
And Ice Cube's son. So the first one came out in 2018, and the most recent one came out last year and just made its way to Netflix. They're both heist movies. They're quite different, actually. One is like L.A. Macho gunman shoot shoot shoot, and then the second one is finesse and France and ooh la la, let's steal the diamonds.
Oh, okay.
So
one is Fast and the Furious, and the other one is like Italian Job.
yeah, I think that's a really good way to describe them, actually. Yeah, you put it better than I could have. So yeah, I would highly recommend both of those movies. They were fun and entertaining. They clearly didn't win any awards, but you know, it's Gerard Butler being Gerard Butler, and everybody else everything else is cast really well. The other thing I want to call out, which is new this weekend, is The Residence on Netflix.
The Residence.
Yes, it is a murder mystery show set in the White House. And
What?
oh my goodness, I cannot remember the last time I laughed so much. The writing, the execution, it is absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait to watch more of it.
Why do you laugh? Is this a comedy?
Yeah, I would definitely describe it as a comedy.
Oh, well then Katie's going to love it.
Yeah,
A murder mystery comedy.
Yeah, it is right up her alley. You're gonna love it. It is. So it's from. It's a Shondaland production. So, she signed a huge epic deal with Netflix. She was the person behind Bridgerton, which is
really
now in its third season. So like the production quality is fantastic. The editing is amazing. The casting is like, you just see people and you're like, oh, like they're perfect for this role. And the lines are just the one-off. Oh, it is really, really good. The Residence is fantastic.
The Residence. Okay, yeah, totally. Oh, I do remember. So, one last thing. Katie is a big, I can't remember her full name, a comedian called...
Can't remember your wife's full name?
Nope. Get out of here. Eliza something. I can't remember.
Schleislinger?
Is that? Yeah, maybe.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Blonde hair. Yeah, she just came out with a new...
Wow, that's so specific.
She just came out with a new special, and it was great. So Katie actually went back and is watching...
Oh, it was good, because the one before this, we watched it, and it kind of fell a little flat.
She got real serious.
Okay, because I felt like, and like this is no slight at moms, but I feel like she got less funny after she had kids.
No, I think she got extremely...
Okay, so this new one is funnier than her last one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, then we'll definitely check it out. All right, because I've been a huge fan of hers for a long time.
Yeah, so is Katie. Huge. I would say top 5. If there are 5,
Ooh.
that's her top 5. So much so that she went back to like her first whatever with like a crowd of 100, and is starting when she was like 10, 13 years ago, and she's trying to watch all of them in order.
Oh, wow. That's commitment.
Yeah, Katie's really into it. And another one, oddly, Katie, I saw this years ago. I have it saved. It's one of my favorite cheese movies. But Katie was like, hey, back in 2020, Marky Mark came out with a movie called Spencer Confidential? And I was like, yeah, it's real cheese and it's really good. And she goes, yeah, I think I want to watch it. I was like, oh, okie dokie. We can do that real quick. So, yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, so we're going to watch that sometime, hopefully this week. But first, Hunger Games, I guess.
Yeah. Have you watched the new, like the first prequel movie, like the Ballad of Songbirds and Song Snakes, or whatever the hell it's called?
I wonder if that's why she's watching these 4 now.
4?
3? 5?
I mean, there's 3 in the original trilogy.
In the movie.
Which
They split
means...
it in part 1 and part 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, there's 4. I forgot about that.
So
I
that's
was like, there's 3 books. I read the books before the movies came out.
That's probably why she's watching this. So yeah, I guess we'll be watching that soon too.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we should wrap this up because we're really running long.
Okay. I have food to cook too.
Also, I mean, my ribs, I got to finish them. They've been cooking for the last 5 hours.
That's what she said.
She did say that. She yelled at me. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter /X, YouTube. I know we still have no content on YouTube, but eventually we'll get there. This is Eric Westland and Jared Shaw signing off for Geicoid Podcast episode 13.
Pew, 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 pew.
End of transmission.